Tonight on NewsVision, record cold temperatures grip. Tonight on NewsVision, record cold temperatures gripped the Sunshine State last week. We have team coverage on how it affected residents, students, wildlife, and more. Plus, a student at the University of Miami in deep trouble after berating a student organization with anti-Semitic words. We will tell you how the university is handling hate speech on campus.
I just expect that they'll investigate it and have the necessary disciplinary actions.
And later on, the hottest chicken chain opens a new location close to campus. We'll bring you to the restaurant for all the excitement it is generating.
There's a high demand. As you can see, we've opened up pretty busy. We had over 100 customers waiting to get in.
All these stories and a lot more on tonight's show, and it starts right now.
Hello and welcome to the very first show of NewsVision for the spring semester. I'm Mary Stose.
And I'm Shane McDonald. Thank you for joining us. Mary, I'm so glad to be back, but I think the biggest story going on campus right now is just how cold it is.
Listen, the iguanas are freezing and so are we.
Yeah, and it's historic levels, and with more, joining us right now is William DePaula, our meteorologist. Will, tell us how rare is what we're currently experiencing?
Guys, this weekend, areas in the southeast experienced heavy snow and sub-freezing temperatures. Some of this cold even reached us here all the way down in South Florida, bringing us the coldest temperatures in more than 15 years. In fact, Sunday morning, Miami broke the all-time record low temperature for February 1st. A temperature of 35 degrees was recorded. That broke the previous record of 36 degrees that happened 115 years ago. According to experts, this was a very rare occurrence they attribute to the polar vortex.
Extreme events can be more difficult to predict. This event was really caused by the polar vortex, which is essentially this spinning air towards the North Pole of the planet. You can think of it like a spinning top. And what happened in late January was, you can think about this top falling over. When the top fell, it went much further south, and that's why we got such cold air, that Arctic air down here in South Florida.
While this cold is not unprecedented, it is very rare for it to reach this far south.
So as that cold air from the polar region starts to move over the land, right, it's going to acquire those properties of the surface. So as it moves, it's going to get less cold. Right, especially as it moves along the peninsula, it's going to start picking up moisture from the warmer waters of the Gulf and the Atlantic. And so that helps to modify that air mass by the time it reaches us in South Florida.
The cold even made some local schools make exceptions to their dress codes.
So they have special uniform sweatpants that they can wear on Fridays in the winter, so usually just the month of January. Or once a month, and this week they said, to layer up, and they would allow the special Carver sweatpants all week long.
And while on campus there's no dress code, many students needed to find warmer clothes to bundle up in.
I'm not gonna coming to South Florida for college, I wasn't planning on layering jackets, even wearing long sleeves really, so doing that caught me off guard. I walked outside, I remember, and I had to walk straight back up to my dorm.
I will be back with your regular forecast in a little bit, but we have team coverage of how the polar vortex impacted students, locals, and wildlife here in South Florida.
Thanks, Will. We will catch up with you later. Now here in Miami, air conditioning units are on year-round, but they are normally set on cold even during the winter months.
Some South Floridians are not even aware that their AC unit can also function as a heater. So while the temperatures were going down over the weekend, University of Miami housing was struggling to keep up.
Jaden Coey is at University Village with more. Jaden?
Prior to the arrival of the cold front, UM Student Housing sent out an email to student residents warning them of the weather and instructing them of how to turn up the heating in their apartments. And when students did so, they experienced a burning smell, which was expected as the dust burns off from the heating element. But what students did not expect is the fire alarms to begin going off in some of their dorms.
And my roommate turned the heat up to about 75, and then after he did that, we started smelling, I believe it was like the burning of chemicals, so I rushed out of my room and the fire alarm was going off, and we didn't know what it was.
And while some students were dealing with piercing fire alarms, others were forced to endure rooms that heated up to 85 degrees without the possibility to control the thermostat from inside the rooms.
I don't think it's like worth investing in like into a new heating system in old buildings like that. Plus, I think they're also like renovating some of the stuff, so maybe they change it. But if not, I think they might just take the same route.
And in other housing buildings, there was no heating at all, and the housing department was forced to provide rented heaters in the halls to make residents comfortable.
I think it was a smart idea to bring in the heaters. However, they are very loud and they kind of have to be rotated around the hallways, which is a little bit difficult. And they cause it just to be super humid in our rooms.
Jaden Cohey, UMTV.
Thanks, Jaden. And while students on campus were dealing with various temperature issues in their dorms, the cold weather posed an even greater risk for people who don't have a place to live and caused overcrowding at some local shelters. One of those shelters is the Caring Place, a South Florida homeless shelter and outreach center that has provided essential services for more than a century. Employees say they have never experienced a cold season like this, but they are making sure that homeless people have access to much needed services.
You know, hot chocolate, coffee, we provide snacks, food, blankets, clothes for the ones that come in, and we also give them an opportunity to come in and be a part of the service if they want to stay.
Advocacy groups like the Homeless Voice also say that individuals can make a great difference by keeping an extra blanket or water bottle in their cars to give to someone who truly needs it.
The University of Miami School of Architecture was littered with frozen iguanas this past weekend.
Those reptiles are cold-blooded, and when temperatures fall below 40 degrees, they enter a state of paralysis called torpor and fall from trees. Iguanas are considered an invasive species here in the Sunshine State, and residents are allowed to kill them humanely if they find them on their property, but they are not allowed to transport them in their vehicles alive. However, last Friday, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission issued a temporary executive order allowing the public to transport, without a permit, cold-stunned iguanas to designated drop-off sites. In South Florida, more than 5,000 iguanas were reportedly collected or turned in. Here on campus, students picked up more than 30 of them.
My friends like to go outside a lot, and when they heard that it was going to be around 30 degrees that day, they figured that the iguanas are going to start hibernating, and so we decided to go that morning and look for some iguanas, and that's what we found. We found a lot. We took count, it was around 34 that we saw.
And iguanas were not the only wildlife affected by the cold. A little bit north of here in West Palm Beach, more than 200 shivering manatees were observed seeking warmth in this natural gas facility in Lake Worth, which pumps out warm water for Florida wildlife. Manatees cannot survive in water that's below 68 degrees. From the School of Architecture, Vivian Amoya, UMTV.
Thank you, Vivian. Now, in national news, the latest partial government shutdown has ended. While the Senate reached an agreement on a funding bill last week, the deal was not official until the House voted Tuesday afternoon. President Donald Trump, flanked by fellow Republicans in the Oval Office Tuesday, signed the massive funding bill to reopen the government. The end of the three-day shutdown coming after the House voted for the measure earlier in the day.
On this vote, the yeas are 217 and nays are 214. Without objection, the motion is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
The legislation funds almost all government agencies through September, except for the Department of Homeland Security. Lawmakers now have less than 2 weeks to work out a deal on changes to ICE following the killings of at least 2 U.S. citizens by federal immigration officers this year.
The American people want to see the mask come off. The American people want to see body cameras turned on and mandated. The American people want to see judicial warrants before ICE or DHS officers can storm homes.
House Speaker Mike Johnson pushed hard for GOP members to back the spending bill despite some resistance.
For some reason, Many of the House Democrats wanted to shut the government down again and inflict pain on the American people. But I'm glad to tell you, I'm happy to report, Republicans got the job done. Our majority worked together, and we got the bills over the line.
Lawmakers have until February 13th to reach a funding deal or risk a potential DHS shutdown.
And DHS is not the only government agency under fire, as the growing presence of ICE in America has caused outrage across the nation.
Nicole Kickert attended an anti-ICE protest in downtown Miami. Now, Nicole, tell us about the crowd. What was the size? What was the spirit?
So I spoke with event organizers, and they had 48 hours to put this event together and got a crowd of over 100 people. As for the atmosphere, I didn't see any police presence there. The crowd was very peaceful, but their voices and the message they were getting across was so powerful. Out, ICE, out, ICE, out, ICE, out. For Miami resident David Beltran, making his voice heard is an important civic right.
We put this together very last minute. I mean, we were not expecting the government to murder 2 people in broad daylight in service of an agenda to demonize and hurt immigrant communities. But when they did that, we had to respond pretty quickly.
David is one of hundreds who gathered in downtown Miami on January 30th for a protest against the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement known as ICE. Chants like "Abolish ICE," "We speak for those who can't," and even playful slogans like "I prefer my ICE crushed" filled the air. But behind the humor was serious frustration. Earlier that month, ICE agents had shot and killed 2 American citizens in Minneapolis, which sparked outrage and protests against the actions of the current administration across the country, including in Florida.
And what's happening right now is unbelievably insane. It's awful, and I think we need to make our voices heard, unite as a country, and fight back.
I'm an immigrant. My entire family is immigrants. I'm old enough to have been around in 2017 when we saw the first wave of sort of Trump terror against immigrants. Today in 2025 and now 2026, we're seeing that escalated, much more professional.
But the protest wasn't just about immigration enforcement in Minneapolis. Local advocates say the ripple effects are hitting communities here too, especially groups that feel most vulnerable.
We've gotten a lot of reports about sex workers being detained by ICE during stings, and so we're here tonight to represent the voices of sex workers who are often left behind.
For many here, the fight isn't over. And for these activists, protest is just the beginning of a larger push for change that stretches far beyond Miami.
We're out here fighting for our rights, fighting for our lives, and you're seeing now that the government isn't afraid to come after you. No matter the color of your skin, no matter your access to privilege, it's time to be not afraid, because they're not afraid to come after you.
Reporting for UMTV, I'm Nicole Kickert.
Thank you, Nicole. And coming up on NewsVision, we'll tell you what the man accused of attempting to assassinate President Trump at his West Palm Beach golf course in 2024 has been sentenced to. Plus, greener in the Gables. Hear how the community is coming together for a cleaner and more sustainable environment. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. It's now day 5 in the search for the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. There's very little new information in the case of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. Authorities believe someone took her forcefully from her Tucson area home overnight Saturday. A large law enforcement presence was at her home Wednesday, and evidence bags were seen, but officials have not said what they were looking for or what they found. Police say they think Guthrie is still alive, and the family has released a video statement pleading for the safe return of Nancy.
We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen.
Officials previously said Guthrie's life is at risk without medication that she takes daily. Authorities are still looking into a ransom letter, but have not determined if it's legitimate. The FBI is working alongside the Pima County Sheriff's Department and has offered a $50,000 reward. There's been an outpouring of support from various household names, including President Trump, who personally called Savannah Guthrie to offer his support.
The man convicted of trying to assassinate then presidential candidate Donald Trump has learned his sentence. Ryan Ruth has been sentenced to life in prison. A federal judge in Florida handed down the sentence on Wednesday. Prosecutors had pushed for Ruth to get life. Now, Ruth has an attorney, but represented himself during trial. Prosecutors say Ruth laid waiting for Trump at the president's West Palm Beach golf course back in 2024.
The University of Miami's administration is investigating an incident that was reported by the Miami Hurricane newspaper. The report describes a verbal altercation between a student influencer and a club called Students Supporting Israel at the Spring Involvement Fair last Tuesday. According to the Hurricane, the group was approached by sophomore Kaylee Mahoney, who is an influencer known for posting videos with anti-Israel and anti-immigration stances. A nearby student reportedly recorded the argument, showing Mahoney criticizing the Talmud, which is the central collection of Jewish oral law, ethics, customs, and rabbinical discussions. According to the reports, Mahoney allegedly said, quote, "You're disgusting, it's disgusting." The Hurricane did report Mahoney reached out to deny those claims, suggesting she meant the words of the book were disgusting. We reached out to the Miami Hurricane to ask about the incident and what they've heard in the fallout.
Yes, so in the statement that the Hurricane received, the university indicated that they were investigating the situation, and I know that the university has its own procedure for handling situations like this. So I just expect that they'll investigate it and have the necessary disciplinary actions, if any.
In response to the incident, the University of Miami put out this statement, acknowledging freedom of expression, but saying lines can be crossed, and that they will investigate the incident. But it's uncertain whether they were aware of Mahoney's social media presence before her admission. Since this, Mahoney's TikTok account with 125,000 followers has since been banned, and College Republicans and Turning Point USA have cut ties with Mahoney as well. And Mary, I said he was coming back earlier, and he is back right now. We have William DePaulo with us again with the weather.
Yeah, thank you guys. Now, unfortunately, we're still dealing with pretty cold temperatures here in South Florida. They're a little bit better than what we were dealing with earlier this week, though. As we take a look outside right now, we see it's 57 down here in Miami. And then as you look into northern Florida, those are some disgusting temperatures. That's that cold air that we were dealing with earlier in the week. Now, unfortunately, the temperatures have dropped a little bit the last couple of hours. So we had some rain pushing on through. Now, this came in with a cold front, which is why those temperatures are starting to drop. And as we see here, we got some of those spotty showers moving through, a little bit steadier at times. You might got a little soggy if you were going to class earlier on today. Now, with these cooler temperatures and that rain, it's also very windy. You see the wind is howling out there right now, gusting upwards of 20 miles an hour here in Miami. Now, this is going to persist throughout the later part of the evening, dip down a little bit, but then once again, we see tomorrow afternoon, those winds are going to be gusty. So that's going to be keeping those temperatures outside a little bit cooler. So it's going to be feeling a lot colder than it actually is out there. And unfortunately, as we push into the weekend on Saturday, we see the wind is still gusting out there. So it's still going to be breezy and nice and chilly. Now, look at that 7-day forecast. We've got those cool temperatures the next couple of days, and then warming up early next week.
Thank you, Will. Calling all burger lovers, Burgerlicious has returned to Coral Gables, and it's bringing the heat to the City Beautiful. Amanda Muhammad is there and joins us now live to tell us more about the celebration. Amanda?
Here in Coral Gables, the 14th annual Burgerlicious is more than just uniting burger lovers and celebrating all good things about burgers. It's become an annual holiday for more than 1,200 people across South Florida. Really, just check this out. Look how good this looks. But everyone's coming here to enjoy the city's most premier burgers. The Coral Gables Chamber of Commerce originally organized Burgerlicious back in 2010 as a way to help local restaurants recover from economic downturn. But today, it's about giving local restaurants their time to shine outside of their dining rooms. The city closed down all of Alhambra Circle as well as parts of South Zato Street and Ponce de Leon Boulevard as more than a dozen restaurants today go head to head for Best in Bun and People's Choice Awards. Last year, Americana Kitchen took home Best in Bun, and Pinchot took home the People's Choice Awards, and both are back here tonight to try and become reigning champions. But if you want to come here and cast your vote, Burgerlicious will be here until 9:30 p.m. and you can go get your tickets at burgerlicious.com. But for now, I think it's time for me to judge for myself. Live in Coral Gables, Amanda Mohammed, UMTV.
Thanks, Amanda. Planting a tree may seem like a small act, but for one South Florida community, it's an investment in the future. This weekend, volunteers came together to give back to the environment while teaching the next generation why protecting green spaces matter. Emma Balleste has the story.
With shovels in hand and dirt under their fingernails, volunteers at Snyder Park in Fort Lauderdale got to work planting more than just trees. They were planting hope. Over the weekend, the nonprofit called Heal the Planet joined forces with the Zeta Rho Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority for a community tree planting day, adding 16 new native trees to the park's children's garden. The goal was to give back to the earth while investing in the next generation.
The planet is big, and of course it needs a lot of healing. We can't all do it all, but we can all do something. And that's what Heal the Planet wants to empower and educate, that every small act can have a big impact.
The event focused on education as much as action, teaching children why green spaces matter and how their everyday choices affect both their own health and the health of the planet.
They're going to inherit the planet. They're born into these problems with pollution and the world and human rights that they didn't create, but it's going to be on them to solve it.
More than 100 volunteers turned out for the event, including members of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, who say environmental stewardship is a legacy they are proud to pass down.
It teaches our children to embrace our environment, to sustain it, and to plant trees so that they can then, in turn, provide a better future for their children.
For many volunteers, tree planting is one of the simplest and most powerful ways to make a local difference.
Trees actually not only protects the environment, trees absorb carbon monoxide and give off oxygen. Trees are the most important plant in actually purifying our air.
But to heal the planet, the impact goes even deeper, all the way down to the soil.
The soil has microbiomes and things that just interacting with our skin has amazing health benefits mentally and physically. Like, we need to touch dirt, kids need to touch dirt, like get barefoot, get grounded.
And for the youngest volunteers, that connection is already taking root.
I came with my mom and we had an awesome time here. This is definitely one of my best days ever.
It's a reminder that when a community comes together, even small acts like planting a tree can grow into something much bigger. For UMTV, I'm Emma Balleste.
Up next on NewsVision, the biggest football game of the year is this weekend. We will tell you all you need to know about the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots.
And the newest sports pastime is here, and it's growing. Hear what it is after the break. Welcome into NewsVision Sports. Liam Hickey, Luke Bell, and inside a packed Wasco Center on Saturday, the Canes fell to California 86-85, dropping to 17-5 on the season. So let's see how it went down. John Camden anchoring with a season-high 26 points. But it was Diokwe Manuel, a.k.a. DK Dude, that emerged from the shadows and rose for the rejection right here. Look at that. More hops than an IPA, more bounce than a dryer sheet. The 7-foot redshirt sophomore from South Sudan was the third option off the bench, but came in here clutch after two big men for Cal fouled out. Huge showing from him with only 26 total minutes on the season, but he came up big here, had 2 rebounds, 2 blocks, And this go-ahead put-back bucket right here from Day-Day Ames to DK Duke with a second bite of the apple, putting Cal ahead 86-85 with less than a minute left. But then it was Trey Donaldson on the other end with a chance to put Miami back in front. Look at this. Goes up for the layup attempt, and it swirls the rim. No good, and now the Canes are in deep trouble. But it's Nolan Dorsey who throws the Canes a lifeline. Misses both free throws after going 4 for 4 on the season prior. So now, head coach Jay Lucas calls a timeout. Who's going to put the ball to? Who's going to go in the hands of? And of course, it's going to be the freshman, Shelton Henderson, who's going to slip downhill, float up a shot, and it's going to kiss off the window, but it's too high, and it is no good. And it ends in a heartbreaker for Miami, who will now take on North Carolina in a huge test coming up on Tuesday. But North Carolina will be busy this weekend because they'll be rooting on their former quarterback, Drake May, in the big game on Sunday, taking on Seattle. And there's a lot of history between those two teams, Luke.
Absolutely, Liam. The biggest game of the year between the Seahawks and the Patriots cannot come fast enough. The last time these teams met with the lights this bright, an interception on the goal line determined the outcome, leaving the Seahawks players and fans questioning the play call for years. Fast forward to now. A lot of people understand, listen, times have changed and it's a new era. And let's take a look at the quarterbacks, because it is. Sam Darnold went from seeing ghosts to reviving his spirit. The quarterback that was struggling to kind of find his footing early in his career is one win away from proving everyone that doubted him wrong. Then we look at the flip side of the coin. Mr. Drake May, officially the first sophomore quarterback to make the Super Bowl since Joe Burrow in 2021. Before him, a list of quarterbacks like Russell Wilson, Colin Kaepernick. Let's go back to 2001, the correlation, Tom Brady. That's a big name. And listen, Liam, I know it's a little early to start making these comparisons. Brady, May, is it too early? But truthfully, it sparks debate. The outcome, we're going to see no matter what. It's a historical rematch with a lot on the line. Now, millions of football fans are getting ready for Sunday, and one fast-growing sport is drawing crowds right here in Miami. What started as a niche sport is quickly turning into a social phenomenon across South Florida. At Ultra Paddle Club in Little River, paddle is drawing in players of all ages and skill levels and finding its way into Miami's active social culture. Often described as a cross between tennis and pickleball, paddle may sound familiar, but it plays by its own rules.
While the racket is different, it's flat, you don't have the strings, you have to be more reactive, more quick to the ball. You use the glass surrounding the court, which, is very tricky.
Like tennis, the objective is to hit the ball over the net and onto your opponent's side. But here's the twist. The ball can hit the walls and stay in play, meaning there's no true out of bounds. Points continue as long as the ball only bounces once before it's returned, keeping rallies fast, unpredictable, and exciting. And for many players, it's not just about the game. Like other casual paddle enthusiasts, Aurora Hetzel says the social side is what hooked her.
It's fun because you play doubles all the time, so you have this bond with your partner, and you meet other people all the time. I mean, I just started, so I haven't been in tournament yet, only doing a clinic, trying to improve my game.
For some, paddle has become more than a hobby. After growing up playing tennis, Coach Sofia Coiran picked up paddle during the COVID pandemic and never looked back.
When I went a couple years ago to Mexico, to the Panamericanos, and represent the USA. I had the chance to compete with amazing athletes in around Latin America, so it was amazing. Yeah, it was a very good experience.
Paddle was invented in 1969 and has since grown to have over 30 million recreational players worldwide. Since COVID, the number of paddle courts built per year in the U.S. has nearly tripled. As paddle continues to gain momentum across the country, Sofia says she sees more than just a trend. She sees a future.
I'm very passionate about racket sports. Tennis is like my everything, my first love, but then I had a second chance with paddle.
From casual players to coaches chasing a second act, the rise of paddle in Miami is about more than competition. It's about community. And at Ultra Paddle Club, this fast-growing sport is clearly here to stay. Ultra Paddle Club is set to open another location in Midtown. The new club will be part of a $2 billion development called Midtown Park.
And that's all for sports today. Back to you, Mary.
Thank you, guys. And finally, you may think that a fast food restaurant that's named after a dog, has disco balls, and only sells chicken fingers would be doomed from the start. But think again. Coral Gables just got its first Raising Cane's location near campus that is sure to be feeding canes. This is the 21st location of popular fast food chain Raising Cane's here in South Florida, and it opened near campus on Tuesday. The new store of the Louisiana-based chain expands the company's reach into South Florida, what they see as a growth market.
The opening featured live music with a DJ and robot dancers on stilts. The brand is known for promoting One Love for its customers, crew, and of course, its chicken fingers.
Now, Mary, that's all the time we have for tonight, but quickly, we got some Raising Cane's with us on the desk. Now, everybody at home, welcome back. NewsVision's back. Have a great night.
See ya.
Cheers.